so far, so good. It's proven to be a pretty good success.
Donkey Job Projects!
What's up, y'all? Good morning. It's Saturday. Day number 73, 4, I don't know, 70, 50. I'm all over the place. It's day number 58, I think so. Where I'm just waking up still, even though I actually woke up, did my little, my daily devotion stuff, some prayer and some scripture reading, and got some coffee. I'm drinking some coffee now, had some breakfast, kind of just waking up still, and watching some videos. I really want to catch up on Mike Emmert's videos, and so that's what I was doing, and I want to get into some art and some drawing, so my comic, and I was been thinking about, what Mike does, and he does, this whole thing where he lists out all his goals for the day. He wants to do, or he does exercise, he does a little bit of work on the business side of things, he does, work on Space Cat, his comic, and then, he's also working on this stop motion thing, which is his main gig, and, whatever else is on there, you can watch his videos. I'll put a link in the description. So yeah, I was just thinking about his format. He's been doing that for this third round, of 100 Days of Making Comics. Definitely follow him if you're not. And I'm really inspired by what he's been doing. I was inspired especially by him and Gaz too. One thing that really inspires me is the format of their videos. They don't just, turn the camera on, record something, upload it to YouTube. They have a whole format, a beginning and end, and some little things in between. Sometimes they'll splice in some video and stuff like that. And sometimes they get a lot of work done during the day too. And sometimes I get a little discouraged when I see some of that kind of stuff, because I don't do that, but I feel like I'm doing, I'm at the same, I don't want to say level, because I think that they've gotten to a level of professionalism and more polish with their work and skill with their work than I have. But I feel like I'm a kin spirit, I guess. I feel similar to the way that they talk about things, and I like getting stuff done like they talk about getting stuff done. I like working hard and things like that on my art, but I get a little discouraged because I'm not, and one thing I have to remind myself is, both of them, they do this, more or less they do this for a living. This is what they do all, and that's cool, that's awesome. They've set that up in their life, so that's cool. And, I have a day job, and I have a lot of responsibilities, so I really, to fit anything in is a struggle. Even the half an hour sometimes is almost impossible. And that's why you'll see me missing days here and there sometimes, or, even on my Inktober, I had to make it up on the weekend sometimes, and things like that. It's just, I just don't have the time. Like today is going to be cool because I get to, it's Saturday, I have more time, and so I can make a real video and stuff, with all kinds of different parts. And so it's not going to be crazy, but so anyways, I have to remind myself that I can do what I can do, and do the best with what I can do. So yeah, but I still am inspired by, people like Mike. There's other people too, but, I think a lot about Mike and Gaz because Gaz just finished his second round of hundreds, and Mike's in the middle of his, and yeah, There's other people, though, I really need to catch up on. So anyways, I love making videos, love making YouTube videos. Um, and I want to see if there's a way I can structure some of this stuff in my life too, like working on the business type of thing, and like that's a good thing. And it's funny that Mike does this, like where he tries to do a little bit of each thing every day, because I've tried to approach that before too with some success, but definitely not doing as well as Mike has been. So I don't know. I'm thinking about, obviously I can't do as much as some people can do, but maybe I can structure it in a way, like even just to make my videos look better. As once you get something set in place where it's like a streamline, it's a lot easier because it's like, okay, I have it set, but it's like trying to figure that part out. Like I did that in a small version by putting like an intro at the beginning of these, and I found a really cool program for my phone that I can do basically anything I would want to do with video. It's really cool. If you want to check it out, I have a Samsung Galaxy 7, so I don't know if you can get this with iPhone or not, but it's called Kine Master, Kine Master. That's it. It's a weird name, I guess, for like a video editing program, but it's very robust. It's got way more you can do on that than you can do on like iMovie on like a regular computer. You can do layers and stuff is basically the big selling point that makes it kind of work really good. So I can do that all on my phone. I can also, I can upload, high quality HD video with it. And like I said, I could put layers, and I'm just learning how the layers work. It's a little wonky, but you can do it at least. Yesterday was the first time I actually did it with the kind of putting the video of me showing you my comic page or whatever over me talking. So that was cool. Pretty robust for a little phone app. So that's cool. I want to get I used to do overlays and stuff where you could see kind of like Mike Emirates has his like the 100s, and then like his at Mike Emirates on Twitter type of thing, like social icons and whatnot. Like I kind of want to put that kind of stuff, the branding, on my video, just because I think it's helpful. People can easily see where to connect with you, and it's also branding, the whole branding thing, but also it's just, it kind of looks professional because, you see that kind of stuff all the time on TV and stuff, and different YouTube videos and such like that. So I kind of want to do that. I want to do kind of a better intro outro situation. I think I'm good with the intro I have now. It's just simple, but I don't know. I want to keep, retooling it towards a place where it's really good. But, there's that. And I want to make more videos. I just had an idea today for a video series called Sketchercise, maybe I'll call it. Where, like, every time I come across an interesting exercise for art, maybe I'll put it there, and kind of almost like a tutorial thing, just showing people different ways you can get better at your art. Just little exercises, because a lot of times I look online for art exercises, and just by Googling that, it's really kind of hard to find, useful ones, and then you might see a lot of good, useful ones, but then now you have to pick, and it's like, I don't know what to pick, and I spend more time looking for it than I do actually doing the exercise. But as I've gone through so many tutorials and learned so many things throughout the years, I have figured out at least a good handful of exercises. And so this is almost a selfish thing. Like I can put it out there, like one video per exercise, so that for other people, they can see some things, that you can do to improve your art on a daily basis. And also for myself, so I can kind of look back over the list and be like, oh, what do I want to do today? I want to add that also into my daily routine is do some, I don't like the word warm-ups because that to me sounds like wasted art, even though I know it's not, it's just a mental thing. So I think I like art exercises or sketchercises. I guess I can coin the term, even though it's probably already been figured out at some point, but who knows. So I'm not really necessarily interested in doing tutorials on my YouTube channel, but I know they help get more views and stuff. But this might be a way I can kind of introduce that because I have other, it's a little bit different than a straight up tutorial to me. It's, this is something you can do in your sketchbook every day to help you learn and get better. And I mean, hopefully it becomes a huge list, you know, because there's so many things I need to learn and get better at. You know, when you make a comic, you realize all your deficiencies because you have to draw so many things like hands. A lot of people struggle with hands, and so you could do hand studies. I've done plenty of hand studies, probably could do way more, but what happens though is you end up drawing it in your sketchbook, but you draw them, you know, pretty big. You know, you might draw like at the, you know, you might draw like 10 hands a page or something. Well, those hands are going to be a pretty big and maybe even the size of somebody's whole body in a comic book, you know, page. So the thing that's hard is not necessarily always drawing hands. Like if you give me a hand to look at, I can draw it, but um, you know, what's hard is drawing hands small. That's what's kind of hard for me, and drawing a lot of them. So, I mean, I a lot of times I do it. It comes out pretty bad actually, but you know, I fake it, and I don't think people notice it too much. But it definitely, you know, would look way better if I could draw better hands. So it is what it is. So that's one thing I need to work on. So I'm going to come up with exercise on doing that, and yeah, maybe I'll make up my own, some of my own exercises too, because there's specific things that people want to learn. So, and I need to learn. So I don't know. So that hopefully is going to become somewhat of a routine. Um, it's weird. I've been kind of inspired to, because I've gotten some inquiries about, you know, doing some illustration work. I've been a little bit inspired to maybe get some illustration work, but I don't think I want to go down that path. But, you know, if something comes along, I might still just do it. I kind of like the idea of doing portrait work sometimes because I like drawing from life, and it's just, for me, it'd just be another opportunity to practice. And, you know, it's very service oriented thing. It's something that kind of would never run out, you know, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to keep working, keep making things, and trust God and see where that leads me. That's pretty much my plan. You know, there's a principle in the Bible that just talks about, you know, being faithful with what you have. You know, don't despise the small beginnings. There's a lot of different scriptures that kind of point towards things like that. You know, being a good steward of the things you've been given, things like that. So I've been given this kind of propensity to, but let's see. You know, I don't know. So I just feel like I need to be faithful with what I've been given, you know, and what my propensity is. And so I'm doing that, and then trusting that, you know, I'm doing what I need to do, doing my responsibilities. I got a day job, doing everything I can, and I trust God to help me figure out the rest. So, and see where that goes. Let's see what else. I guess that's all I have to talk about right now. I'll probably check back in throughout the day, I guess. This is already becoming a long video. Maybe I'll do some editing so that it's not so long. I don't know. Probably not. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright, so I just worked on some hand studies, like I was saying. And what happened, I guess, I don't know, it was tougher than I expected. I didn't enjoy it, I guess is the point. But I didn't enjoy it a lot. But I did enjoy it just because I like drawing. I enjoy drawing. But it seemed a little more like I felt like I needed to push myself to do it more than I expected, I guess. I did about 30 minutes, and I had some observations while I was doing it. I think part of it is I don't think I did a good job. I thought I could draw hands better. I mean, I know I can when I take time, to do certain things, but it was tougher, I guess, than I expected, which is fine. That's cool. It's all about learning, and sometimes learning requires stretching a bit, and stretching doesn't always feel great. So some of the observations, these were still bigger hands than I usually draw. In comics, I should say, like when I'm drawing comics, these were still 2 to 3 times bigger than a lot of the hands you have to draw when you're drawing comics. Sometimes you draw them this big, sometimes you draw them even bigger. But for the most part, when you're doing a bunch of little panels, hands can start to get smaller and smaller. One thing I tried to remember while I was doing it is a concept that is very important in many different areas of artistic discipline and even other things. I find it works with, but starting with bigger shapes and then moving to the small details. Don't start with the small details, which I think I did sometimes here, but I was trying my best to stick with bigger shapes, then go into the smaller details. That definitely helps when I do it. Drawing the actual arm leading up to the hand, and sometimes a little more like some of the clothing around it. Sometimes if it's like there's one where I drew a hand, a face resting on a hand kind of thing. So I kind of drew the face a little bit, not in detail, just enough to show where it is and show that the face has a little bit weight inside the hand type of thing. I had one where it was holding a microphone. I think it's really important to draw hands holding things and doing things, because you're going to have to do that in your comics as well a lot. And sometimes I struggle. Sometimes it's easier to draw the hand by itself resting than it is to draw the hand doing things. One thing, hands in different perspectives and things like that, and also in just so many different positions. A lot of times you don't see every detail. You don't see every finger, or you don't see all of every finger. A lot of times the pinky is missing, or the thumb is missing because it's behind other parts of your hand. So when you're drawing comics, you might be able to leave that out sometimes. Just a thought. The finger ends, it gets really small with the finger ends, so I think it's very important to draw the bigger shape of the whole hand and fingers, and then start going into detail with the fingers after. And you don't have to draw every detail of the fingers, which is it's hard to not draw things. Sometimes it's harder to not draw things than to draw things. I think that's a big amateur mistake, is trying to draw every detail of everything. And I'm still probably in that camp. But sometimes I break away from that, and I find it looks better when I do. The finger ends, I don't know if I said this, they kind of cluster up a lot of times. So yeah, that kind of goes with you don't have to draw every little detail, every finger necessarily. yeah, just also like the finger bends. In your finger, you have what? I mean, you have your knuckle, then you have a joint, and then another joint. So you got three joints. I find when I look at comics, if I do look at comic artists' hands, they don't draw all three joints. And it gets very complicated and chaotic when you try to think of all those joints. I noticed a lot of times people will draw at the most the knuckle bend and then the middle bend, but they won't definitely not draw that third one that goes close to the tip, the fingertips. So there's that, and sometimes they won't even draw any of those bends because some, fingers sometimes go straight, and to simplify, you don't really have to draw all those little knuckle creases and things like that. So there's that. It's interesting how kind of thumbs kind of stick out sometimes, like, but if you do that too much, it doesn't look so great. So you gotta, like, there's a lot of subtleties with hands, and that's, I think, why it's so, part of why it's so difficult. Another thing, I was drawing from a magazine today, and I just literally went from the cover in, got in about 3 or 4 pages, and drew every hand that I saw. So that's kind of one way to do it. I wanted to fill up a page, but it took me about a half an hour to get halfway down the page, so I'm sticking with the half an hour instead. I also got to a point where I was thinking I might benefit more or also benefit from doing more studies from other artists, seeing how they render hands, different styles too. I want to try different styles so that I can get a roundabout to where I want to, how I want to draw hands. Because drawing from life is good, but sometimes you can start to learn shortcuts and how to simplify things a little better from drawing from, got hair, long hairs in my beard, from drawing from other artists and observing how they do it. So I think that's going to be what I'm going to do next for an exercise. Not right now. Right now I'm going to do something else. I'm not sure what yet. And maybe tonight I'll go into it because I am excited to see what I can learn from other artists. So yeah, that's my observations from sketching hands today. If you guys have any other input, I know there's videos all over the place on YouTube. I've looked at a lot of videos. Jazza, I think, has some good ones, and Psychra and stuff, and all these other people. So I'll probably start reviewing some of those too as well, and maybe I'll just keep working on hand studies for a while, because it's just something I'm doing a lot in the comic as well. So what better time to learn than now when I'm actually executing that stuff. So I know there's a lot more observations that can probably come. I do like writing down observations in my sketchbook so I can kind of go back and learn, and I don't do that enough, so I did that today, and that's kind of cool, like words and stuff. So yeah, hands, gotta hand it to you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Did that, so yeah. Another quick thought. I was thinking that I might try to start kind of editing my video as I go, since I do it on my phone now. Maybe that'll make it easier. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to get more content in during each day that way. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. Edit what I got so far and see where that goes. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll help. Peace.